Okay, today we are here with Zach and Vlad, and we got the Big 12 preseason poll standings. These were voted on by the media members, and the teams were voted on by the media members as well. This is the first team here, projected first team. And we're a little late to the party. I mean, we have kind of already gone through the non-conference here, but as we're starting up conference play, we're going to predict where each major conference, whether the preseason polls match or ours match, and we'll come back at the end of the season, see who's better, the media or us. I have a feeling this one we're going to win. So big shout out to the media, but I immediately see Caleb Love and Jawan Roberts on the first team. So I think we got a little bit of an advantage there. So let's start off with the number one consensus number one team. We got the Jayhawks of Kansas. They're placed as the number one team. Zach is our Big 12 resident expert and a fan of the Jayhawks sometimes. Where would you place the Jayhawks?
Oh, a fan. Sorry.
A fan? You've been a fan of the Jayhawks.
I like the Jayhawks. Yeah. Sorry, I misheard you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Where would you place them projected-wise? Where do you think they're going to finish after the Big 12 conference is said and done?
Yeah. Now I will say the Jayhawks. I love the Jayhawks football. I always root for the Jayhawks in football.
Right. That's kind of what.
Not as much. Like I don't mind their basketball program at all. But okay. So where do I think they'll finish now?
Yeah. So where do you think, like, when the non-conference or when the conference season is said and done, where do you think they'll finish within the Big 12?
Yeah, I don't. For me, they're kind of. I don't want to say it clear, but they're kind of number 3 for me, like confidently. Like a lot of these teams will have more of a range, but I think they're behind Iowa State and probably behind Houston. I know not right now. I think right now maybe Kansas is better, but I think Houston will be better in Big 12 play. But I think they're right there. They're a little concerning, couple concerning losses to Creighton and Missouri, but those were huge games for those schools, and I mean, they do have to be better in road environments, and that's what they're going to get. Every road game in conference play, so they're going to have to figure it out. But just they have such a good team and so many good players that I lean on them to figure it out. I think they're number 3 for me. Yeah,
number 3. And what we'll do is let's just take an average of our rankings, and we can tweak them, obviously, but that's where we'll put them. Vlad, do you have any thoughts on this Jayhawk team, where they'll finish?
Yeah, I'd probably put them in the same range of like 2 to 3. I would say it kind of depends on Houston, but I think there's a clear number 1 who might be obvious, but won't state until we get to that team. So, yeah, I'll just say 3 for right now as well. 3? All right. And these aren't completely final, but I'm going to go 3 as well. I think they're still a good team. I'm agreeing with you both. Obviously, I think I'm a little concerned, to be honest, about the losses to Missouri and Creighton. Zach, you corrected me the other day, and rightfully so. Zeke Mayo has been a good addition to the team. He's shooting very well from the field, kind of provides that scoring punch off the bench. DeJuan Harris has been similar to DeJuan Harris, but been really underwhelmed with the additions of A.J. Storr and Rylan Griffin. Those were 2 guys that they threw a lot of money to that performed very well last year at their respective schools, and they're averaging 7.8 points and 6.9 points on bad efficiency, and it looks as if Bill Self just doesn't really trust them that much. And Hunter Dickinson, also great player, averaging a double-double, but he's just such a wild card. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. He can go off for 30 or he can get dropped off. But that being said, I think I trust in Kansas enough. Put them 3. Number 2,
Also receiving first place votes was the Houston Cougars. Vlad, where do you think Houston will end up at the end of conference play, based on what you've seen this far and what you project to be?
Yeah, like I said, they're not the clear number one who I was referring to when I was talking about Kansas. So I think they're number 2.
Mhm.
Obviously, they have loads of talent. They have a great coach. But yeah, I definitely think there's a clear, better team than them, as good as Houston is.
Zach?
Yeah, they're kind of weird because in every metric, like I think they're 4th in KenPom, maybe like 6th in Evan Maya, but like they're obviously like every predictive metric loves them, but I don't even know if they have like a quad 2 win. I think their best win is like a home win against Butler.
Yeah.
Like a quad 3 win or something like that. I mean, I can look that up exactly what it is, but yeah, I mean, like it's weird because every predictive metric like loves them, and rightfully so. I mean, they blow out, solid teams, and even some of their bye games they played. Like Troy is a good team.
Yeah, right.
Hofstra is solid. It's like it's not like they're playing, Mississippi Valley State. I love mentioning Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah.
Shout out the Delta Devils, but
Delta Devils.
But no, Houston is. I don't know. It's interesting because I don't know if we're really going to find out. We kind of had this thing last year. Everybody's like, oh, they're not going to be able to hang with the Big 12 or handle it. They were more than fine. They outright won the league by like 2 or 3 games. Like, it wasn't even close. Yeah, I don't think they're as good as last year. I think that's pretty obvious. Honestly, they could be. They have just maybe not as much, very close to just as much talent. I don't know. I have like the development of JoJo Tugler. I don't know if they still call him that. They used to call him
they do.
But, I know he's kind of been like a nice surprise for them. He's been like so good defensively, but
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I still would have them at number 2. I think they'll figure it out and be fine.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I've gone back and forth on Houston. I love them. I used to hate them when UC used to play them all the time in the American because they were so pesty. But Kelvin Sampson is really a good coach, and for some reason, I mean, this offense, their guards are super inefficient. Like, all 3 of their starters, Uzan, Sharp, and Cryer, are just they're just not making shots, to say the least. But they have a lot of depth. Like, I'm looking at off the bench, they got, of course, they have forward depth with JoJo Tugler coming off the bench. Cedric Lath can come off the bench a little bit. But they have also guard depth with Mercy Miller, Malik Wilson, and Terrence Arsenault, who had a big game the other day. So, to be honest, I'm kind of changing my tune on Houston a little bit. I think that they will be number 1 in the Big 12. I just think that their style of play will suit them. They're going to play D every night, going to be well-conditioned. Going to go Houston as my number 1. So, what was that? 2 number 2s and a number 1.
Yeah.
So we'll put them at 2 for right now, because I assume I'll let you guys say it, but I assume you guys are both gonna have Iowa State at 1. Zach, talk to me about Iowa State a little bit. We love Iowa State here on this channel.
I've been kind of a big fan of the Cyclones. They were on my. I think they were. I wrote it down somewhere, but I think they were my title pick preseason. But I don't know. I was kind of cautious about it just because they haven't really done it before. It's like I know another video Vlad talked about it with, like, you can't see Marcus Freeman and Riley Leonard hoisting the CFP championship trophy. It was just kind of that same thing for Iowa State. I don't know if TJ Otzelberger and Taman Lipsey hoisting cutting down the nets in April is like something that just like screams normal. But They are, to me, I don't know. They were kind of the best team, and not to their fault. I think they're kind of surpassed by Auburn, but nothing they really did wrong. It's just Auburn's been insane. So I like Iowa State a lot. I think there's a clear 1A and 1B in college basketball, and it's Auburn and Iowa State. I don't know. They're just very complete, well-rounded, continuity. They've all played together. They're experienced. I don't know. There's a lot to like. And, everybody knows about the defense. They turn the ball over like crazy. They turn other teams over. They don't turn the ball over. They create turnovers. They're just almost impossible to, like, get in a rhythm against offensively. And that, and if they don't have to be world beaters on the offensive end, they just have to be, like, solid. And they are. And I think that's what's been holding them back in years past, is they haven't been good enough at all offensively. They've been, sub like 50 or something like that. I don't know. But, this year, I think they're actually like a slightly better rated offensive team than defensive team than Ken Palm, at least. They're like top 5 in both. But, I think they're the clear number 1 for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Vlad, would you like to echo those sentiments?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely a treat that we've already got to see them in Auburn play already.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting, given that I think those two are on like another level right now than everybody else. So, Iowa State's definitely one for me.
Yeah, they still are my national championship pick. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. It's just there's some times where teams win the national championship and they don't win the conference or the conference tournament. You know what I'm saying? But they're clearly the better team. Sometimes things just happen. So, and I think Houston, I feel as if they can make it happen. They're probably a little bit more accustomed to the grind you down style of play. And Iowa State, their defense has been lacking at times. There were times in that Iowa game in the Cy-Hawk Classic where they were kind of late on those defensive rotations, but I think they'll figure it out. I totally respect the 1 here. How about the Bears? The Bears were projected 4th in the nation. We've talked about the Bears a little bit on this channel. Zach, could you provide a little bit more context and decide where they're going?
Yeah. I mean, they're a lot of fun to watch, for whatever that's worth. They're very young, inexperienced in some ways, but also like really experienced in other ways. They're kind of a fascinating team. They had, I don't know, that like disastrous game against Gonzaga to open the season sort of has skewed metrics and perception, really. They lost by like 40, but it was opening night and a road game, I think. And it was just not the best showing, but they have a couple other losses. I think Tennessee and UConn. They weren't anything like crazy, but yeah, they had obviously a wild win against St. John's in the Bahamas, which was really fun. But yeah, they're like so uber talented. I mean, they have arguably the most talent. I know Cooper Flagg is like really good, but he's kind of been lost in the world. There's been so many good freshmen this year, but VJ Edgecombe is still like one of my favorites, just how talented he is. Yeah, it's a pretty like balanced team of like wings. There's not a lot of size. Like they play Norchad Omier at the 5 usually. I mean, I know he's done it a lot with he did it with those Miami teams in the past. They would go like 4 guards. I wouldn't say they go like 4 quote unquote guards. They all can play like guards, but they're more like wings. Or they do have like size. Like Ojanwana is more of a classic like center. He doesn't really shoot at all. But they have such good guards and experience at the guard position with Roach and Nunn, guys like that. And I think they've had some struggles and still might in conference play. Like I think they'll lose some games where you're like, why did they lose to this team? And then maybe they'll like go to Allen Fieldhouse and beat Kansas, like something like that. They're going to be one of those teams. It's a little bit volatile, but I think that I've said this all year. I think they're a team that's going to peak come March. And I think there's a good chance we see them very deep in the NCAA tournament. But if we're going, so are we going just based off regular season standings then for this?
Yeah, regular season. Yep.
Okay, I'll go fifth then.
Fifth.
I think it's kind of there's a 2-team tier here with UC and Baylor. But UC I think has a slightly easier conference schedule, so I'll go fifth.
I'll get my thoughts out of the way first. I'm going to go fifth as well. Baylor's a really hard team for me to gauge. I don't know how I would bet on them because they have the talent, right? Edgecombe, although he hasn't been playing good, you can tell he's a stud. He's going to turn it up. They got a guard, Robert Wright, who's a 4-star, maybe 5-star kid. He's a stud. Going to be amazing. Might be a first-round pick. Roach is not the best, but he's so clutch. Like, he's played in so many big games. And Norchad is weird to me because he's such a small big, but he's so good at, like, rebounding and finishing underneath the basket. Kind of reminds me of like a mini Dennis Rodman in a way. But there's just so many questions. They're 86th in KenPom in defense. And I'm not too big of a fan of teams that don't play defense, but they're upside plus Scott Drew. I'll say fifth. Vlad, what say you in this matter?
Yeah, I'd say fifth for regular season. I'd probably put them maybe fourth if we were predicting tournament outcomes too, just because of their history. But yeah, they're definitely a very tantalizing team to predict. But yeah, I definitely think that the Gonzaga game was just kind of a disaster. But I still think they're a very good team, but not on the level of the top 3 that we have for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's go to number 5 on this list. Preseason number 5, Arizona. Tough start to the year for Tommy Lloyd and the Wildcats. Vlad, we'll go to you first. Where do you think Arizona ends up? Do you think they bounce back in conference play, or do you think they continue to kind of fall?
Yeah, definitely more of a miss, I would say, maybe from us too, but definitely in the media preseason. I don't think they're on the level of these top 3 teams or Baylor or UC or even Arizona State. So I would go 7 or 8 right now. See what you guys think, but I would definitely put them behind 6 teams for sure.
7 or 8. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of like do the math in my head here. So just trying to think like who I'd put over them. Yeah, I think somewhere in that 7 to even 10 range. I kind of said it before the season. I wasn't a huge fan of how they would look in the Big 12. I don't think they're really built for it. We've seen them have some issues in the Pac-12 in the past, and with some more physical teams. And obviously, we know that's how this goes in the Big 12. There's nothing more physical. But I don't know. I think I'm pretty confident they finished behind teams like UC, Baylor, Texas Tech. I think they'll be in that range with after Texas Tech with like BYU, ASU, West Virginia, kind of in that group. And I'm not sure they really the metrics like them better than those teams, but I haven't really like seen anything that suggests that. So I'll go like 8 or 9.
Some of these things I don't understand from the metrics.
Yeah.
I'll go 8.
I could see like Caleb Love. I could see him averaging like 20. So I could see them like being okay and like making it to the tournament. Because as bad as Caleb Love is, I think he's going to put up stats, but I just feel as if in the most important games, he's going to shoot you out of it. And them allowing – I know that was a kind of a poorly officiated game, but allowing John Tanji to drop like 40 or something on you after seeing him kind of get locked up.
To be fair, they were all like – they're like 30 of them were on free throws, but yeah.
That is true. But, yeah, I'm not an Arizona guy.
I will also say Caleb Love, not play style, just purely like numbers-wise in terms of shooting and points. As a Timberwolves fan, it is the same experience that Julius Randle gives us.
Oh, boy.
He is like a 20-point-per-game guy, but it's an efficient 20. And he'll start with like 15 in the first quarter, and then he will just shoot you out of the game. And it's terrible.
Yeah. That's a great comp right there, Julius Randle. But I think 8th is fair. How about the Bearcats? Zach, we'll let you go first here. Maybe a little bit of a polarizing team. They were originally ranked 6th. Do you have them higher or lower than that?
Higher, but more so due to some other team. I personally had them at 5. I think before I thought they were better than Arizona, but I think now I'd have them at 4. I just think Baylor is maybe a little bit more volatile, like unpredictable than I thought. I think come March, like Baylor will be the better team, but I think if we're going just on conference standings, I think UC will definitely be kind of in that 4 spot. I mean, they might be able to. I mean, they do get Kansas at home, so maybe I think they'll be able to beat like a Kansas at home, but I'm not sure they're like going to go on the road and beat Houston or Iowa State. I'm not saying they're going to like crash into that part of it, but they should be able to handle most of their business. They kind of avoid those like the road trips that like don't help you but hurt you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Against like good teams that always you slip. So like the middle of the pack, like the bubble teams. It's weird. Like they don't play a road game against I don't think they play at like Oklahoma State. Or they do play at Oklahoma State. Who's like the middle of the pack? Like ASU, Arizona, like that tier. They don't really play. I don't think they go to either Arizona school, so that'll help them out. They only go out west like once. I think they do like Utah and BYU in one like trip. It's like a wraparound weekend. So schedule wise, I think that kind of favors them. They've been sort of as expected. Maybe they've played a couple closer games. I mean, I disregard the results from the crosstown shootout because it's just a bloodbath. But
sure.
Like that Villanova game, I think a little bit concerning. They need to improve offensively when they're not having good shooting nights. Kind of happened with Xavier. They weren't shooting it well most of the entire game. They started to get in a rhythm like very late in the second half, thankfully. But or else we'd be calling for Wes Miller's head right now. But I do think they need to. There's definitely some areas of improvement on the offensive end, and I think getting a healthy Dan Skillings will definitely help that, especially with the ability to get to the basket and collapse the defense. But they've got so many guys that can and have stepped up, and I think they'll do enough to win. And I think honestly, their play style favors the Big 12 schedule more so than like I wouldn't be surprised if Dayton kind of has the upper hand tonight because they like to get out and kind of run, but methodically, they shoot a bunch of threes pretty much and make a bunch of threes. And I think that sort of favors a team like that. And there's really not a lot of teams like that in this league. There's a lot of people, there's teams that shoot threes, but it's more like defensive focused and grinds you, crazy athletic rebounding kind of teams. And that's exactly what they are. So I think they kind of are a microcosm of this league as a whole. But yeah, I'll go at 4.
Okay. Vlad, as a non-UC fan, what is your perspective on this team?
Yeah, I would also put them at 4. think they're a little bit more, I guess, I don't want to say proven, but they've kind of been more steady, and you kind of know what to expect for the most part than Baylor. So I would put them at 4. I think the biggest thing that stood out was in the past, like especially in last year's shootout, like they just came to Centos and could not hit a single shot. And this year, for most of the game, they honestly couldn't do it again. But I think the biggest thing was they still found a way to win. And I just like their talent in all 3 levels of the game. So, yeah, I think they're a well-rounded team, and I would put them at 4.
Yeah, this one's tough. I like this team, and I want them to do well. And they all seem like good people who work hard. I think 4 is fair. I was going to put them 4. I really wish, and don't give this off as a lamentation, because I do like this team. There's some players that I really am big on, but I really wish that Rayvon Griffith blossomed. He was kind of my X factor going into the season. I thought that, maybe this is just bias as a Cincinnati guy, but I thought if he could maybe get going, like as a 6'6" athletic wing that had just redshirted and seemed ready to come off the bench and have a big role, he could be a perfect 6-man for this team. Maybe I'm delusional there, but I just personally like him. I like the idea of him a lot. I like the idea of him.
I mean, I think on that, like they just have a lot of guys that sort of fit that exact description.
Yeah,
he's kind of just fallen behind a lot of those guys, like Josh Reed and
sure. But yeah, I like the idea of Rayvon. I mean, he's a hometown guy, highly recruited. His high school, I saw him play in high school a couple times, and very good player. And I wish the best for him. But I'd rather have him. I'm not sure if I trust Connor Hickman yet. I don't know. It might be just a.
To his credit, he showed up against the.
He did show up. He did show up. I just don't know.
They don't win. They don't win that game without his.
You're right.
Performance.
You're right. It just putting your 6-man spot to a 6'3" 2 guard who is shooting 30% from 3 is just I have my reservations, but I hope he does well.
Yeah.
But we'll move on here. We'll go to the Red Raiders here. Zach, you've been quoted on saying that Grant McCaslin is a very good coach, which I agree with. Where do you think he'll take this team this year?
Yeah, I think they're clearly right there after Baylor, so I'll put them at 6. Another one of those teams that's very highly rated metric-wise, but hasn't quite yet proved it resume-wise with like wins, but I think they will. I don't know. It's another one of those teams that's, I don't know, you could call it kind of polarizing. Usually the Grant McCaslin teams, they defend you to hell, but this one is more of a really good, they're good defense, but they're really good offensively this year, which is definitely a bonus, but they have kind of dropped a little bit on the defensive end. They do need they're going to have a good conference schedule because they have like literally 0 wins of no non-conference play. Yeah. Their losses, like I know they lost to St. Joe's. I think it was in Brooklyn maybe. That it was a really fun game. And I think they lost to A&M in Houston or Fort Worth, maybe it was. But yeah, no, those losses aren't going to kill you at the end of the year, but they don't have like any wins. Like I know they played DePaul and the Big 12 thing, but a home win against DePaul isn't exactly moving the needle. But so they're going to have to win games like that. That's they're going to need some more of these games more so than some of the other teams around them. So I think they might have to finish in this like 6 or 7 range to even make the tournament. That being said, I wouldn't at all want to see this team as like a 7 seed in my side of the bracket with like, I don't know, Darion Williams has been a lot of fun. He's been a guy that's kind of very documented. But he's been great. I like the team. I like the makeup. I think they'll be fine, but there's going to be a little bit more pressure on this team than most.
Sure. Vlad, how do you feel about the guys from Lubbock?
Yeah, I would. I'm gonna say. I'm trying to like calculate this in my head. I would say 7 for me.
7.
I think this might be more of a who I want to finish 6th.
Okay, that's fine.
But I think that Texas Tech is still a very good team. I think they could play with anyone in the conference. So I'm going to put them at 7. Could definitely hear out a 6 or maybe 5 even, but I'm going to go 7.
I'm a Texas Tech guy. I like this team. I think they showed me something. JT Toppin, the transfer from New Mexico, is very good. Chance of Millen. No shame, absolutely no shame in losing to the future national champions of college basketball in Texas A&M. But we're gonna go 6. We're gonna have 6 with Texas A&M. Good luck to you, Red Raiders. This is a team that I might kind of spaz on right here. Kansas State. But I'll get it out of the way quickly. After that not Final Four, that Elite 8 run a couple years ago, I was so high on Jerome Tang as a coach. He was amazing. He was taking these guys that didn't work out at their last schools, didn't quite work out, like Noel and Keontae Johnson, and just turned them into absolute tanks. But then something happened. I don't know what happened to Jerome Tang and to Kansas State, but they suck. They're really bad. I do not like this team at all. Coleman Hawkins, I know he has a podcast, and I know he scours the internet for his name all the time. So if you're listening, man, no disrespect intended. Seem like a nice guy. But $2 million, man, $2 million to average 8 points per game. I just don't get it. I know if you got money, spend it, but really, you're getting paid $2 million to average 8 points per game and shoot 30% from the 3 as the 4-man. They lost to Drake the other night, and although Drake's a really good team, should have seen this coming. Doug McDaniel, I liked him, a little guard, but he is just a shot chucker. Jerome Tang dismissed a chore from the team, the guy from Samford, who I thought was going to be an amazing piece after seeing him in that NCAA tournament last run for them. He's gone from the team. Now, this is a disaster season for them. I'm going to put them at 14. 14 for Kansas State.
Yeah. I agree, actually, dead on with I might go 13.
13?
I'll go 13, but same idea. Yeah, not good. I don't know, it's just a disaster right now. They have players and coaches turning on the fan base, complaining about how the fan base treats them when, I don't know, you can't really do that. You're getting paid a lot. Sorry, Coleman, but
yeah,
not that good, pal.
Yeah, come on, man.
I mean, I get to their credit, they played a good second half against a really good Drake team. It's not like the result was the worst thing in the world. It's not a loss that
right.
Ends your season, but they just have been pretty bad, man. I don't know. They're just not very good. I'm sure they have a good home court. I'm sure they'll win some home games against some of those top teams, but
Yeah,
maybe not some, maybe one or two, but I don't know. They'll be lucky to make the NIT.
yeah. I know it's going to sound hypocritical because we have a podcast as well, but it just seems odd, when you're getting dragged and you're playing terrible and there's obviously no team chemistry out there. And then you're going the next day and filming a podcast episode, laughing, cracking jokes, acting like it's the best thing ever. Something that rubs me the wrong way about that. But that's just me. Vlad, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, they're not good. I'll say 13 as well.
13, okay.
I don't know. I would have thought a lot more highly of them coming into the year at least, but I don't know. I can just see so many better teams than them right now. So
Right.
13.
Yeah. All right, this is a team that some people really like, including me. I used to like them, I'll say. I used to like them. I'm out now on BYU. Spoiler alert. They have, Igor. He doesn't deserve to get his name pronounced right. I know it's pronounced Yegor, but Igor. He's a 6'9" point guard who can pass like Doncic. That's cool. I'm sure NBA scouts are going to love that. But when you don't play any defense and he just slacks out there on the court, like he's just jogging half the time when I watch BYU. And then they just have a bunch of the whole rest of their team is just white guys that can shoot threes a little bit. And I know that kind of worked out for them last year, but I don't see it. I'm going 15 for BYU. I know that might seem a little low, but I'm going 15 for BYU.
Whoa.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, at least you guys got AJ DeBanso, so got something to look forward to. But 15 for the Latter-day Saints. I'm sorry. I understand if you want to kick me out of the honorary Latter-day Saints club. I understand. I might not be invited to Provo now. That's cool with me. Respect you all, love you all, but yeah, I don't think your team's very good.
I can go. Wow, that's kind of a bold prediction. I respect it, but
Yeah.
I think this was one kind of the preseason kind of nailed. I like them like right at 8.
Okay.
I think they'll make the tournament. I still like this team. I think
Okay.
they're just like super tall and they get every rebound.
They are tall. Yeah, I will say.
They get like I think they're number 1 in the country defensive rebounding. They're like,
oh, really? Okay.
They're like top 20 in offensive rebounding. So they're like really good rebounding the ball and kind of like uncharacteristically, like they're not bad, but they're not as like dominant as they've been in the past shooting the 3, which is kind of interesting. They're only around like 35-36%, which is good, but not like top of the line good. A lot of that's been Cannon Catchings. I don't know if you've been able to watch them, but he's kind of a bit of a shot chucker from 3, and he's not making a ton of them. So, him and Yegor, them and whatever, they need to kind of lock in. But I don't know. I think they will. I think I actually still kind of like this team. I think they scream like a 10 or 11 seed that goes to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Interesting.
Number 8.
Interesting viewpoint. Vlad, you're the one who can pull rank here.
Yeah.
Are you somewhere in the middle or are you on one of the sides?
Yeah, I would say I'm in the middle.
In the middle? Okay.
Maybe a little bit more towards Zach. I would say like 10-ish.
10?
So that's just kind of like quickly calculating which teams I like a little bit better. I would say 10. I still think they're a good team. Maybe not exactly as like advertised. But yeah, I think they'll probably still have a good conference run and maybe they'll make the tournament. We'll see. But I just kind of like a couple more teams that we haven't talked about over them. So,
yeah.
All right, Vlad, we're going to kick it right back to you. As a guy who watched your favorite team play against Horned Frogs,
What do you see out of them, and what do you like/dislike?
Yeah, this was, as a Xavier fan, this was a very hard watch. Xavier should have won this game. They had every reason to. I still don't know that like TCU's that good. I would slot them at like, let's see. If I said BYU 10, probably 11.
Okay, 11 for TCU.
I think they're a solid team, but I don't know. There's just a lot better teams out there, and I don't know. I'm just not as confident in them as I am with some of these other teams. Like losing by 17 to Santa Clara, losing to Colorado State, losing to Vanderbilt.
Also, Frankie Collins is out for the year.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, Zach.
So I just can't. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of confidence with them. So I'll go 11.
11. Zach, you go next.
Yeah, I respect it. They're like hard 15 for me, like ceiling of 14. It's like they might win a few games because it's a sleepy atmosphere. Like most every Big 12 atmosphere is, big game, crowd sold out, but they never really seem to have that big of a crowd. It's sleepy, but they play well at home generally. But I don't know. The team just kind of sucks, man. I'm going to be honest. Like, I know they beat Xavier, but it's with Frankie Collins out, they're kind of toast. I'm not going to lie. Like,
Yeah.
The team just isn't good. I don't really know what else to put it at, and they cannot score to like save their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the scores of their like bye games. Like home win against South Alabama, 58-49. Like good defense. Like I credit, but I don't know. All I need to see is that. Like I get it, they do, and they don't really even play that slow, which is the kind of the crazy part. They're just bad offensively. Yeah, I'm very far out. This team is not. They're going to finish under 500. I think they've finished somewhere like 5-15 in the league, something like that. 15 for me. Only 15? One team I think is worse. But yeah.
All right, I'm doing a little calculation. I'm going 17. There's no offense to Xavier at all.
There's 16 teams.
Oh, there's 16 teams. Oh, my bad. I thought there was 18 for some reason.
I thought you were just calling them like that bad. I was like,
oh, okay, yeah. Well, okay. Well, that's. You know what? I'm considering putting them. I think I'm going to put them last. I mean, they were already bad to begin with, and then they lose their best player.
Yeah.
For the season. I'm sorry, Jamie Dixon. I think he's a good coach, and I've liked TCU teams in the past. But yeah, last place for me. So 16. Why you said 11 and then 13 maybe?
Yeah, we can move it down.
Okay, let's go like 14 or something like that. I think that's kind of consensus-y. So TCU, slide them in here. Let's go with, I think UCF was ahead of Arizona State in the preseason poll. Kind of got a little mixed up here. But Vaughn, we'll go you first because we'll go to Zach on the Sun Devils. But Vaughn, what do you think about UCF here? And where'd you put them?
I have some opinions on UCF, and
Okay.
not some good ones.
Oh yes. It just hit me right now. Who plays for UCF?
Yeah, they have this point guard named Dior Johnson, and I don't like him. That's a long story, and won't share that for now. But I'm gonna be biased here, but I know Zach put them in his fun and frisky tier.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think they're still kind of in that category. I don't know what's going on with Mikey Williams. I don't know if he's like hurt or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it just sucks.
That could also be a reason, which wouldn't surprise me. Let me see if he's like played somewhat recently.
Looks like he has not played at all.
Yes, not really sure what the deal is there. It feels like every other game, yes, Dior Johnson's coming off the bench. They have 2 D Johnsons who play guard. So they have Darius Johnson and Dior. Darius, I don't really know you, but I like you more than Dior.
Darius is good.
Go Darius.
So I will go, I don't know, kind of the same, like 10 to 12 range. So, yeah.
I'll put him 12. I do like a couple guys like Jordan Ivory, Curry, and Johnson and Keyshawn Hall. They can all score. They're all averaging about 15 points per game, give or take, on the year. So can score a little bit. But shout out to my guy. I think, Zach, you called him out. I think he's a walk-on. He definitely seems like a walk-on. Pupa Warakanularo from Bangkok, Thailand. A 5'11" guard. He's averaging zeros across the board this year. He's only played in 1 game, but I think if they put him in the game more, I think that'll boost up their rating a little bit more. But yeah, I'll 12.
Yeah, I like. If I'm counting correctly, I like 11 here.
11.
I don't know. I think they're like weird. They're like 81st. They're 81st in KenPom, but it feels like they should be higher. I mean, they beat A&M, the greatest college basketball team of all time.
Yes, absolutely. They did. So then maybe that should.
They had that bonkers like triple overtime game against LSU in that ballroom in West Virginia. I've called this the most interesting team in college football. That's what they are, or in college football, college basketball. The UCF stands for the University of Convicts and Felons. That's what they are. They're fascinating. I don't know. Like, I actually think they'll kind of like be decent and like float around the bubble, sort of. But I think they're looking at kind of similar to last year where they were like solid, but weren't quite there. They'll be playing for, like, they'll have some chances to get, to play their way into the tournament come February and March, I think. But they scream like kind of like an 8-12 finish in conference play with some nice wins and some questionable losses. But I'll go 11 right behind like that BYU, West Virginia, Arizona, ASU tier kind of.
Shout out to Last Chance UCF.
Yes, Last Chance
UCF. Yep. So 11, I think seems fair. We'll put him here. All right, Zach. This is your squad here, the Arizona State Sun Devils. Where are we putting them? Where are we slotting them in?
For me, I have them number 7. I love the Sun Devils. I don't know. They're just like that team for me that kind of, metrics don't love them, but don't hate them. But they've just like looked the part. They seem like they know how to close wins. They've beaten some good teams. I think they beat like Santa Clara, Grand Canyon, St. Mary's, and like New Mexico. And their losses were to Florida and Gonzaga. So I mean, it's not like whatever. But I don't know. They just kind of have like they got a lot of talent, some young talent too, a few freshmen that get a lot of minutes there, but I don't know. They're kind of gritty. I don't know. They play. They're not phased by much. They seem to have like they don't like fold to game pressure like a lot of teams you see might do. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Sun Devils. I think it's gonna be a tough road trip for a lot of those teams going out west. It's not going to be easy. I know the West Coast teams aren't great this year, basketball-wise, but it's going to be tough to go out there for one basketball game, and we kind of saw it with BYU last year. It's going to be tough to go out there and win. I like their makeup. I got them at 7. I think comfortably in the NCAA tournament.
7 for me too. You've convinced me, Zach. I'm in on this team. Your confidence in them has greatly boosted my my favoritism of. I love your quote. I think this is the quote of the year by you. Bobby Hurley, when his job is on the line, is the best coach in the NCAA. I love that quote.
That's correct.
Arizona State, man, I think obviously they're not at the tippy top, I don't think, but 7 is fair, I think. 7. Vlad, would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, they were my team that slotted in behind Texas Tech, so 7 as well.
Okay.
I can't imagine a more fun school to be at right now than Arizona State.
Oh, yeah.
Just with how they are in general, and then their football team this year, and then now they have an exciting basketball team. So it's got to be a very fun atmosphere to be at. I also do like them. They are very young, but they do have very quality players. I think the don't know how to say it, Quaintance or whatever.
Yeah, I think we've all been saying it wrong.
Doesn't he have to come back for another year because of his age? I'm pretty sure he has to come back.
No, I did not know that. That's interesting if true.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Don't quote me on that, but I think that's the case. So that'll definitely be interesting to see him back for year 2, but we can worry about that next year.
Sure.
Yeah, I really like them. Definitely ahead of the Arizona BYUs. So,
yeah. I'll go next since I mentioned this team as a team I was rocking with this year. West Virginia. Unfortunately, my opinion has changed because I'm not sure if any of you guys know an update on him, but they said Tucker DeVries was out indefinitely. And that's not great. I might take back my Larry Bird prediction, my 50-cent store Larry Bird, but still a good player, still the second best player on that team, and still a guy that I thought could really help them out. But now with him out for a lengthy period of time, I don't trust them as much. I like them a little bit better than like the Kansas States of the world. So I think right where they're at right here, entrenched at the 12 spot is good. Or I guess it's the 11 spot right now. The 11 spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that the injury does concern me. I don't know. All I've found is just like out indefinitely. There's no timeline anywhere, which kind of scares me.
That's how it is with all those college injuries. It's kind of annoying.
And they kind of just like show up one day and like, oh, they're dressed to play today. And
yeah.
Right?
It's either that or it's like, oh, they're out for the season. And
it's kind of weird, but I still like the team. I mean, Javon Small is arguably like the best kind of point guard in the Big 12. Can you make that argument? You might be able to. He's been awesome. Huge for them. I still think they'll be a tough out. They're not. It's not like they were a one-dimensional team that solely relied on Tucker, but they still shoot the 3 okay. Not great, but fine. But definitely it'll hurt in that facet. I still kind of like them over like UCF and honestly Arizona. I know they beat Arizona, but I don't know. I might slide them in at 8 behind ASU, or I guess maybe 9 behind BYU, also in there. But they're right in that mesh, like kind of it's just a mesh of teams with Arizona, BYU, ASU, or not ASU, West Virginia, and UCF. So they're in that. I'll go like 8 or 9.
We got an 11. We got a 9. Vlad, what is your deciding pick here?
Yeah, I mean, since we kind of already have like the top 8 sorted out, I would go 9.
9? Okay.
I also still do like them. And before the injury, I was like, I've never been a fan of the whole like father-son college basketball thing, but honestly, it was kind of working and
right?
kind of a surprise to me. But yeah, I still think they're a solid team. I'd say I like them more than BYU. Arizona's, you can debate it. But yeah, I think the 8 or 9 is pretty firm for me.
Well, it's weird, right? I also don't like the father-son thing, you know. Growing up, I'm sure you know, like playing baseball and stuff, there was a ton of politics involved with being the coach's son.
Yeah.
But it's one of the few times, because normally the coach's son sucks, but this is one of the times where the coach's son is actually pretty good, you know? So you don't see that a lot, especially now with like, I think I saw like Fred Hoiberg's son Sam is starting or whatever. And he's terrible, but
forgot about Fred Hoiberg.
Yes. So these final three, I totally forget which order they were in. But we'll go with the one straggler here. I know Utah was last. Do you know that? I think it was Oklahoma State. Don't quote me on that, but Zach, what do you think about the Cowboys and their new coach, Steve Lutz?
Yeah, I mean, coming into the year, they screamed, you know, the worst team to me. I guess kind of Colorado did, maybe a little bit worse. I think it's not like they've been like worse than I thought they would or anything. They've kind of just been bad, like I expected.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They're last for me. I have them 16. I don't think they're like the worst like power conference team. I mean, they won comfortably on the road against Seton Hall, and there's your worst team.
Sure.
They also beat like Miami too, but like they might win a few games. But like last year, I think they are for me the easy pick for last. But I think maybe a couple of those teams at the bottom have been a little bit better than expected. So not necessarily to their fault, but yeah, last for me.
Yep. Last for sure. I was really hoping this guy would be better. There was a guy, not sure if you remember, we're going to do a Forgotten Names of College Basketball soon, so stay tuned for that. But there's a guy who, you guys remember when Arkansas upset Kansas? I think it was a couple years ago. There's a guy named Devo Davis or Devontae Davis who ended up scoring like 25 points in a win in that round of 32 game. Well, he transferred to Oklahoma State, and he started every game, but he's only averaging 3.5 points per game on 34% from the field. That just solidifies it for Oklahoma State for me. I like Oklahoma State as a university. I don't know why. There's just something about them that's always kind of appealed to me. But last. Vlad?
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. I think all you need to do is look at their last game. They beat Tarleton State by 5 points. And I think Tarleton State's like 3-10. So yeah, before one was Wednesday, I didn't know who Tarleton State. I didn't know that was a university. So yeah, they're not good. Last.
Yeah. All right, this is a team that we also thought would be bad. They were projected. Still are probably bad, but did beat UConn. So does that up them, keep them the same in your ratings, or
I do think them? Well, overall, I think they've been a little bit better. I thought this team was going to be like really, really bad. There just like weren't really any recognizable names on the team. Like it was kind of a mystery. I think they've been okay. Like they've had some nice wins off the radar. Like with obviously the UConn one was big, but with Colorado State and South Dakota State, where they've actually like comfortably won and looked decent. I think they're going to be okay defensively, and again, going out there and playing in the high altitude in a different time zone, I think might slip up a few teams. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them maybe take down one of the top 5 or 6 teams, maybe a couple of them at home. So they definitely got some upset potential. I think they'll make the NIT maybe, but I don't have them last or second to last. I'd say, let's see, 13. Let's go 14, but 14. Definitely significantly above TCU and Oklahoma State for me.
Okay, gotcha. So above TCU. Vlad, what do you think about the Buffaloes?
Yeah, I'll go 13 to 14 range right now. Obviously, the UConn win's impressive, regardless of what you really think about UConn this year. I think we'll definitely find out a lot more about them pretty quickly. They open up conference play against Iowa State, so that'll definitely be a tell. Obviously, don't expect them to win that to be considered hey, this is a good team, but definitely an eye-opening game to start for them. But yeah, I think they're significantly better than some of these bottom 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna slot Colorado in here at 13. I'm tempted to put them above Kansas State, but I won't. They are bad, but shout out to a couple guys. Shout out to I can't believe I actually saw this guy play a live game and I did not recognize him. I can't believe it. Elijah Malone, their big center, number 50, saw him play at Grace College. I have a cousin who goes to Grace College, and yeah, he was I think he was the D2 Player of the Year or something like that there. Yeah, for some reason I didn't remember him, but yeah, shout out Grace College. And then probably the worst name in college basketball, or one of them, Andre Jakimovsky. Terrible name, but a decently okay player. I mean, he's averaging 12 a game, and he had a good game against UConn. But dude, you got to get this game, man. But
I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation.
Wait, what is it then?
The pride of Macedonia.
Yeah, I feel as if I've heard an announcer pronounce it like that, so I'm gonna rock with it. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm disrespecting. No disrespect intended, Andre. But lastly, I'm gonna go to bat for this team real quick because everybody seems to be sleeping on them. I'm gonna go to bat for the Utah Utes.
I'm joining you at bat.
All right, I'm gonna go to bat for them. Look, Gabe, my guy Gabe played one game for UC. Hey, he's a Bearcat forever. One game. All right,
legend.
He's a legend. But he's balling. He's almost averaging 20 points per game. They have a couple of 7-footers on this team. Utah, I have no idea who their coach is. I really don't know anything about this team, to be honest. But they have a pair of brothers who can score. And then they have a Baylor transfer. And then they have a guy who played for Baylor and then played for Utah football and now is playing for Utah basketball, and Caleb Lohner. Really weird team, but I'm going to buy him. I'm going to buy him over BYU. I'm going to put them right ahead of BYU right here. That's my opinion, though. What do you think?
I was going to go to bat, but not that much.
Not that much? Okay, fair enough.
I like them over, the bottom tier. I was going to have them at, 11, 12, definitely above K-State. I think they're right there with UCF. I think they'll be around the bubble. Not sure they have enough to get into the tournament, but yeah, I have 11 or 12 right in there.
Okay. 11 or 12, that's fair. All right, Vlad, you are the deciding vote here in the last team.
Yeah, I'll kind of swing with you a little bit more here, JC. Not as extreme, but I'll put him in front of UCF.
UCF? Okay. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe that Mason Matson is still playing college basketball.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I met him when he was first at UC, and that feels like it was 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's nutty.
But yeah, I think it's a good spot for them.
So now, real quick, we're just gonna go and do our all Big 12 first team All Americans. So I feel as if we'd want to change some people. So I think let's just do this kind of diplomatically. I think we leave Hunter Dickinson. Would that be correct? Is that okay? So these four players I feel are kind of up for grabs. Zach, can you state your case for maybe one guy to be off the list and then another guy to be on the list? And
one off, one on.
One off, one on, and we'll kind of go.
Well, I mean, I think easy Caleb Love should not be on the list.
Caleb Love, I agree with that. Off.
I mean, I think there's a couple others that probably shouldn't either, but it's close. Like I think Cryer, as of right now, is probably like a second teamer. I think there's guys that have been better, but Lipsy, I kind of like. I don't know. I think. I don't know if you'd want to go maybe Gilbert instead. Like Gilbert has the more the better basic numbers, like points, whatever.
Gilbert is better. Gilbert's a better player than
I actually don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Gilbert's like a way better scorer, no doubt. But I think Lipsy's more important to that team.
Okay, I can see that as well.
Because he's the guy with the ball in his hands, and he's just so good defensively. So is Gilbert, but I'd be okay switching him and Gilbert, no doubt.
Okay.
And Jawan Roberts, I don't think should be on anywhere near that right now.
I agree.
But I'm cool with Dickinson, and I don't know. I Cryer's tough. I think it's close, but I got to think who else I'd put in there. I mean, you got to think it's not what it should be is like a starting five, like guard, wing, 4 and a 5, but it's not. So I got to thinking that just generally who I'd take. Cryer's been not as good as he has been in the past. I'd take Cryer off right now, but I think
Cryer off. Okay.
Eventually, do you like Toppin at all? Do you think Toppin would have any argument?
That's a great point, Vlad. I was just about to ask for your opinion on this, but. Yes, JT Toppin, in my opinion, 100% deserves to be on the list.
Isn't he hurt?
Oh, he is hurt right now.
Yeah, he's only played 7 games, but he's been averaging a double-double.
That is true. Yeah, what do you think, Vlad? Give me 2 guys that you think you would go to bat for in the Big 12. It's kind of tough, to be honest. This is a tough conference to pick.
I mean, I do like Toppin. I don't know. Maybe let's see who we got right now. I mean, Javon Small averaging 20 a game. It's got probably an argument.
Yes,
I'd probably stick with these 3 that we have on there right now too. So maybe just arguments for those guys. Maybe they don't ultimately end up on there. And then, as much as I don't want to say it, Dylan Mitchell could probably have a spot on there too.
I mean, Dylan Mitchell's been the best defensive player. Maybe Tugler's better, but Dylan Mitchell has been the second best defensive player in the Big 12, or arguably of college basketball. That's how good he's been defensively. And I think I don't know. I don't really know how they vote on these things. I don't know if I don't really pay attention. I don't know if it's more offensive or if it's more defensive, but
that's
if they even have some weight of defense, Dylan Mitchell should absolutely be in the first team. I was going to say him too.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and exchange Keyshawn because I think he's kind of established himself as the alpha. I hate using that word, but the alpha wolf on Iowa State as far as scoring goes. Obviously, Lipsy's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands, but feels if they're going to get somebody a bucket, it's going to be Keyshawn. So I think that he's going to make it. I think we leave Cryer on because remember this is kind of a projection, and I think he's going to turn it on this season in conference play. So we have 2 more spots.
I've got a strong opinion on who I would give them to.
Sure.
But I'm open to others. I think for me it's Dylan Mitchell and Darion Williams from Texas Tech.
Okay.
But that's more of a so far.
Do you think that here's a question, 2 questions. Do you think Dylan Mitchell is gonna keep it up over the whole course?
I'd argue he might get better. I think they should this is beside the point, but I think they should run a lot more through him than they do offensively.
Okay.
Because he's like you don't notice it, but like he'll like late in a shot clock, he'll just go ISO ball and like the other team's best defender, and like he's like a 6'8", 6'9" big guy that is crossing. He'll like do like a double crossover between the legs and just like shake you and then yam on the entire defense. So like it's actually kind of crazy that they need to do more through him. That's a different story, but I don't even think he needs to do more. I think he'll be just as good. Yeah, because he's just so good defensively, and I think that should matter.
Okay. I could see that. Vlad, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Begrudgingly. And all right, Vlad, we'll give you the final say here. Who do you think should be the last player on this list?
I'm probably gonna agree with Zach. I mean, I think it's gotta be like one of those Texas Tech guys. I guess Toppin only playing 7 games hurts his case, but yeah, I would be fine with Darren Williams or McMillan, but I'll say Darren Williams.
Okay. Is there any argument for Norchad to be on this list? Norchad Omir? Because he's averaging a double-double. Would you say Darion's better, though, and is going to have a better season?
I would think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I think for Baylor, I think those guards will kind of start to take over more once they get.
Yeah, I was going to say I think that at least like further down in the year, you'll see more out of the guards and like Edgecombe's numbers take a step up too.
All right, let's do it. Darion Williams, Texas Tech. And final question of the video, who is your Big 12 player of the year?
I feel like it's got to be a big thing with winning, so I would say Gilbert. Just because I think like Iowa State, we projected to be the best team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. I think it's Gilbert or Lipsy if he can get his scoring numbers up. But yeah, I think right now I think I'd be cool giving it to Gilbert. They kind of give it to the best player on the best team.
Yeah,
generally.
let's give it to him and let's rock with this for now. Big 12 fans, if you're watching, be sure to comment below what you think of what our picks were. And whether you're watching on clips that we post to this channel, or if you stuck around and watched the whole thing, we appreciate you. And we'll be back. SEC fans, we'll be back soon with an SEC preview.